Kal Kadosh Boker or Bekiim Halacha 2, day 46. We are page 153, which is Halacha Membet 42. We're talking about, are you allowed to drink water in a bathhouse? Okay, so are you allowed to drink water? Imagine you're in a bathhouse. Now remember that obviously that the bathhouses were in the olden days, right? It's not like our showers. You understand? Meaning it's not the majority anyway have, right, the toilet inside of it. You understand? Even though in Israel, by the way, it's very, very common that they have them separate, and they purposely did that. You understand? Because it's actually smart, because there's not a lot of room in Israel. So imagine, why am I going to, imagine somebody's going to the shower, now he closes off the bathroom. Yeah, and then you can go. So at least it was smart. So they separated it. So you have one as a bathroom and one as a shower, and then you're able to, to do that. And obviously there's going to be differences in halacha. But let's see. If someone is thirsty while in the inner chamber of a public bathhouse, he may not think of the words of the blessing and drink the water. In fact, he may not do so in the outer chamber where people get dressed and undressed. It means in the inner chamber, that's where everyone's bare, right, without any clothing. So for sure not. But even right on the outside where people are getting dressed and undressed, although this person would think about Torah topics while in the outer chamber, right, but he can't make a beracha. Instead, he should get dressed, go outside, and say the beracha. You know what? No, let me just say the beracha in my mind, and then I go. No, you can't do that. Okay, fine. Some poskim ruled that one may recite the beracha she'akol niya bidvaro over a candy before entering the bathhouse, having in mind that this blessing will cover the water that you're going to drink on the inside, and it is permissible to rely on this leniency. So he says you're allowed to do that. Right? That means because you're having that in mind. So you come on the outside, you're making a she'akol. You come, you have your candy, you come inside, and now you're going to have your drink or whatever it is inside. There's no problem because you had this in mind. What?
Problem is just the bracha. We're not saying there's no
yes.
Problem.
No, there's no problem of the drinking there. Right. There's no problem with the drinking. No, again, we're not in a bathroom. First of all, we're in a bathhouse, not bathroom. Bathroom is always prohibited. We spoke about even bringing in food is prohibited. We're not about bathroom. By the way, we're saying bathroom. Remember that in America it's restroom, right? And in Toronto or Canada it's washroom, right? I still say washroom until today. They say, oh, restroom. And if you're in England, it's toilets, right? And that's actually not a bad word. You know, that's the thing. What? Yeah, the loo is the thing, but it's not toilets. You're not supposed to take any food inside. You have to get rid of it. Yeah, you have to get rid of it. Yeah, okay. Even if you keep your mouth closed, you're not supposed to bring food into the washroom. Okay. So now he says over here like this. He says, so again, but we did say that you're in the public bathhouse. Right? So you know where this applies nowadays? I don't know if you've ever been many times in mikvaot and Eretz Israel. Here, or you know what, here also, right? Here also, right? Here, if you go, let's say, for example, whether it's any type of mikveh that you go to, you go into the first room, and that's where they get dressed and undressed, and that's where they take the showers. And then you go into inner room where that's already the mikveh. You understand? So it's two different rooms. So inside the mikveh area, there everybody's going bare, right? That means they're going without clothing. So for there, it's much worse, obviously. But here we're talking about even in the outer place where they're getting dressed and undressed. That's called the outer chamber of the bathhouse. Okay, so it does apply until today. And mikvaot, basically. Okay, mikvaot for men. Fine. Next halacha is number 43. While in the inner chamber of a public bathhouse, right? Again, this is the inner chamber. It is forbidden to greet people saying Shalom, since that's one of the names of Hashem, as we find in the pasuk Vayikra lo Hashem Shalom. He called him God Shalom. It is permissible to address someone named Shalom by his name, because obviously that's not the kavanah. Meaning, if your name is Shalom, I could tell you Shalom, but it's not that Shalom is the greeting. However, it is not necessary to distort his name, right? Or to say, hey, you, right? You don't have to do that. Why? Because it's not the kavanah. Likewise, it is permissible to utter the names of Ovadiah or Azariah, even in the inner chamber, there's no problem. Okay? So he says, that means obviously the concept was that it has the Yah, right? So all those things is fine. Although it is forbidden to think about Torah topics in the inner chamber of a public bathhouse, it is permissible when necessary to think about one's plans to perform a mitzvah. Therefore, one may think about matters pertaining to giving charity, right? So he says, while there. Okay? So again, this is the inner chamber. So inside of the inner chamber, right? So he says you're not allowed to speak words of the Torah, okay? And he says even to think, right, is the same case, even if nobody's there, okay? Yes, you're allowed to be thinking about giving tzedakah. Because you're thinking about doing a mitzvah. It's not thinking about Torah. Now there is, by the way, a Rav Ovadia, right? Listen to this. There is a Rav Ovadia, because I looked into it, and the Rav Ovadia says like this. Rav Ovadia speaks about. He says like this. Shut yabia ome. Klal haoleh shemutar lachnis radio. Translated לחדר אמבטיה ולשמוע ממנו דברי תורה בעת שעומד שם ערום להתרחץ. אולם אין להתיר בזה אלא בחדר אמבטיה שאין שם בית הכיסא. First of all, there can't be a toilet there. It's only like a bathhouse. אבל אם משמש גם בית הכיסא, then you have to be מחמיר. Because even בית הכיסא there's a problem. And he says that's also what's brought down shoot to be home. So basically, Rav Ovadia is trying to say that there's a difference between listening to divrei Torah and speaking divrei Torah. So he wants to say that listening to divrei Torah is permitted. That's what the Shut B'Ya Omer says. Even though it's not that simple, obviously there's a lot of what to speak about, but that's just, so then that's the thing. Why is it that the listening is permitted, right? Because it could be that listening is better than the thing, even though it's not that simple. Again, there's a Shut B'Ya Omer. We would have to look it up, but we'll speak about it. I don't know if he's actually going to speak about it now. No, he doesn't speak about it, but okay, let's see. Fine, next. Next, number 44. Okay, this is Mem Dalet. So it is permissible to sit while wearing one's clothes in the compound constructed around the Oziel mikveh in Tzfat and to read Tehillim or to recite blessings, as long as there's no people which are bare, right, without clothing inside. Since the water in the mikveh pool is always cold, the compound does not have the status of a bathhouse where such activities are forbidden. If there are people without clothing, so one may simply just turn the face and then just say, right, the bracha, right, or Tehillim, right? Because again, you can never say a bracha or Tehillim in front of an erva. Now, that's not only just an erva of a woman. Even an erva of a man, right? You're not allowed to say it. So the same thing. So they're not allowed to do that. And he says, so turn away, or if there's nobody around, you could say it. Why? Because since the water's cold, it's not the bathhouse that we talk about. That it could be that is when it's a hot bathhouse. If there's a hot bathhouse, so then it's a problem. So he says any person who entered the compound of the Arizal's mikveh but did not immerse in it does not need to wash his hands upon exiting. If he did immerse in the mikveh, he must wash his hands upon exiting, since he almost certainly touched his body while he was there. Okay, so he says the same rules applies wherever there's a natural spring feeding mikveh pool. Whenever there's a mikveh of heated water, however, it is forbidden to say beracha or to recite Tehillim there, even if there's, as explained in the previous halacha. Because again, it's what we said, that whenever it's going to be a heated room, so then you're not allowed to make a beracha right over there. Okay, fine. It says over here like this: there's a machloket achronim. Are you allowed to come and make a beracha inside of a merchatz or mikveh, right? That has a hot water. He says the Mekor Dvarim is from Rabbeinu Manoach, brought down in the Kesef Mishneh, and the Rashba and the Tshuva and the Meiri in the Berachot. They say that a mikveh cham is a sur levarech olino betocham, kevan shazuama metzuya sham. There's a lot of sweat and everything that's there. So he says mashenke mikveh tzoneh, but if it's going to be a cold mikveh, that there's no zuama, there's no sweat, there's no nothing there, you're allowed to make a beracha there. Ulshita zo, so according to the shita, yitachel omar shebash kodav ra'avad b'shuvah b'shulchan aruch shetuchal levarech be'odah b'mayim. You can make a beracha when you're in the water. It's obviously talking about a cold mikveh, right? And he didn't say that the bizmanam all the mikvahot were cold, and even later on, right? It was they were careful that they always did a cold mikvahot. Okay, only later on did they start making hot mikvahs. So because of that, the Taz comes and he says, however, though the Taz argues and he asks the question, he says no, there's a difference between bet tefillah, that it's a cheder emtzai, that if it's already a tefillin, does he have to take it off? Birkat tefillah, but basically that's the concept. I mean, the concept is that if you're in a hot place, so do you have to come and are you allowed to make a beracha or not? That's the concept. Okay, fine. Halacha number 45. Okay, it is permissible to store foodstuffs in a household bathroom that has no toilet facilities. Anyone who refrains from doing so will receive a special blessing. Meaning, if you remember, we said you're not allowed to bring into food into a toilet, into a restroom, into a washroom, but you're allowed to enter a bathroom. He says tavol of bracha, right? If you're machmir tavol of bracha, if you don't, but technically you're allowed to. Here it says in number 156 is ruling Maran Shalom Tzion, right? That Yakut Yosef also deduced from his father's choice of words that one should not rely on this lenience unless there's some need for it. However, the wording of the Maran Shalom Tzion used in the summary at the end of that volume of Yibiyam implies that it is permissible even without reservation, meaning even the Chatchila do it. Right? That means the Yakut Yosef wanted to deduce, no, that's why the Machmir Taval Bracha. But to really be met there in the Yibiyam, there it says, no, it's mashma, even the Chatchila you could do it.
What about the bottle of wine?
So now he says like this. So since it's not possible to avoid exposing one's body, right, one's nakedness to others while bathing in a public bathhouse, it is not considered a modest behavior. This was explained above in Siman 2, number 3, which means if you remember, basically, in a bathhouse, you're supposed to be without clothing. So therefore, there's no problem. And that's why if you remember, there was a heter nowadays that in our washrooms, if it's connected, the like the bath, like you have the shower and the thing, so you could get dressed however you want, because basically that's a bathhouse. In a bathhouse, there's no problem of being without clothing. So therefore, that's the norm. So therefore, there's no problem whatsoever. Okay, number 47. It is permissible to walk about in a bathhouse without a kippah, well, bareheaded. This was explained in Siman 2, number 31. Number 48. After bathing in a public bathhouse, one should wash his hands. It is sufficient to wash each hand one time. You don't have to do it 3 times. Okay, if someone entered a public bathhouse but he did not bathe, he does not have to wash his hands at all. And this will be explained in Siman 4, number 88. Okay, we're just going to start the preface of the next Siman. We're now talking about Netilat Yadayim. Okay, we're almost done. Day 4. Not day 4, sorry, Siman 4. Okay. We find among the writings of our Chachamim that there's going to be 4 different possible reasons for the mitzvah of Netilat Yadayim in the morning. Okay, the Rabbeinu Asher, which is the Rosh, he comes and he explains that while a person is sleeping, right, his hands remain active. And therefore, it's almost certain that he touched body parts, right, which are unclean during when he's sleeping. Therefore, he also has to wash his hands when he wakes up in the morning, right, before he can recite, right, blessings or pray. The Rashba, second Shita, there's a Shalom ben Aderet, right, this is the Rashba. Remember, both, right, the Rosh came to Spain and the Rashba was living in Spain. Okay, so he says now like this. The Rashba explained that when a person wakes up refreshed in the morning, it is like he's created anew. The pasuk says, "Chadashim Bekiim Rabbi minotecha." New expressions of your kindness are every single morning. That means every single morning I see your chesed. So your faithfulness is magnificent. He says our sages taught that in the Midrash that this refers to Hashem's kindness in restoring our souls to our bodies every single morning. That means Hashem does chesed, that He gives us back our neshama every day. When someone deposits an item with a mortal to safekeeping, he gets it back worn and scratched. We deposit our neshama to Hashem, it's all tired and worn out, and who gives it to us as if it's new. Right? That's what happens every time we sleep. We come a new being. So we're obligated to thank Him for creating us for the purpose of honoring Him, worshiping Him, and blessing His name. This is the purpose of all the morning blessings that our sages instituted for us to recite every single morning. This being the case, we must purify and sanctify ourselves every single morning, beginning with these holy tasks, just like a Kohen. When a Kohen comes, he washes his hands and feet. So too, we're going to come and we're going to wash our hands in the morning. So that means our washing of our hands is like the service of the Kohen doing Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim, sanctifying his hands to do the service in the Bet HaMikdash. So we're doing our service in the Bet HaKnesset, right? Or wherever we are. And that's the concept of doing Netilat Yadayim. That was the Rashba. Yeah? Okay, Halacha Brura. Halacha Brura cites the Rashba and Rabbeinu David Baham as offering 2 distinct reasons for Netilat Yadayim. This is incorrect. The latter simply can't be the reason of the Rashba. Meaning, Rabbi David Baham was just saying this. It's like, meaning basically he's arguing on the Halacha Brura and just saying that it's not 2 different reasons, it's the same reason. The Zohar HaKadosh teaches that when someone sleeps during the night, his sacred soul leaves the body and he tastes the flavor of death. When that happens, harmful spiritual forces, which the Zohar refers to as an evil ruach ra'ah, contaminate the body. So when he wakes up in the morning, the harmful forces depart his body, and they remain attached to his hands, and therefore they could only be, taken off with Netilat Yadayim. Look at number 157 on the bottom. The term evil spirit implies that there's something alive, some sort of ghost that possesses the surface of one's hand in the morning. As translator of this volume, I was uncomfortable to allow the readers to get this impression, although the Hebrew term is ruach ra'ah. The word ruach, often means spirit, but it also means atmosphere or air. Our sage is likely referring to some negative, harmful energy that radiates from the Jewish hands after sleeping. Although many books have been written about human energy and energy healing, and they do not mention this, right? He says this is because it does not exist among non-Jews. I took the liberty to write harmful forces wherever the Hebrew text states ruach ra'ah, although the literal translation would be evil spirit. You didn't want to make it sound like, there's ghosts around, it's evil forces, harmful forces. Fine, next reason. Or Chochaim studied the Talmud, the Gemara, teaching that harmful spiritual forces contaminate one's hand during the night and can be revealed through Netilat Yadayim. This is not identical to Zohar's teaching. According to the Talmud, it is not being asleep that brings the harmful contamination, it's the night itself. Meaning, according to the Gemara, it has nothing to do with the sleep, it has to do with the night. According to the Zohar, it's a sleep, because the sleep is 1/60th of death, and therefore it's the sleep, it's not the night. You do Netilat Yadayim without a bracha. Yeah? Okay. In the halachot that follow each, hold on 1 second. In the halachot that follow, right, each of these reasons affect the rules in different ways. In practice, we rule stringently wherever any of these reasons make it warranted. Unless someone is obligated in Netilat Yadayim according to all these reasons, he does not recite the bracha of Netilat Yadayim based on the principle of bracha lekel. Which means that, again, there were a few different reasons that we brought down here. So we always say that you only make a bracha if you're going according to all reasonings. Right? So if it's according to, so that means you have to do all of them. That's why if a person does not sleep at all, so according to the Zohar, he wouldn't do it. So therefore he doesn't make the bracha. If he's sleeping, but it's during the day, so it's not night. So according to the Gemara, you wouldn't make a bracha. That's the reason why. That means in order to make a beracha, you need to be chayav netilat yadayim according to all opinions. So it has to be nighttime. It has to be that you slept. It has to be right that okay. Again, the Rosh is basically just saying that you touch different parts of your body. There's a whole question. What happens if a person slept with gloves? Right? There's a whole question about that. But again, so basically what we're trying to say though is that it's always that you're doing something that it's according to all the opinions. That's when you're going to come and you're going to make the beracha.